The Krellian warlord raised his plasma claw above the trembling Pixith merchant, and that was the moment the human bartender stopped polishing glasses. The soft clink of glass against would echo through the Frontier Station cantina, a sound far too calm for what was about to happen. Narvik crouched on the floor, his 4 eyes wide with terror, his small blue fur body pressed flat against the durasteel tiles. He barely stood 3 feet tall, evolved on a gentle world where predators were scarce and caution was a cultural trait. Looming over him was Graxon, a 9-foot Krellian warlord encased in layered bioplating capable of deflecting small arms fire without a scratch. "You sold me defective goods," Graxon snarled, his voice like stones grinding together. "My soldiers died because your atmospheric filters failed." Narvik shook violently. "I swear they were tested. I would never." "Your species always whimpers." Graxon growled as energy crackled along the edge of his plasma claw. "Time to cull the herd." That was when Temperance Graves set down her glass. She had worked this bar for 5 years. She was not tall by human standards, not particularly muscular, and wore a simple bartender's vest instead of armor. But when she spoke, her voice carried through the cantina with quiet authority. "Graxon," she said, "put the Pixith down." The cantina froze. 16 different species held their breath. GRA Zen turned slowly, his predator eyes locking onto her. "This does not concern you, human. It concerns me when it happens in my bar." Temperance stepped around the counter, empty-handed. "The filters weren't defective. I sold them myself from a certified distributor. If your soldiers died, it's because someone on your crew installed them wrong or tampered with them. You dare accuse me of incompetence? I accuse you of blaming the wrong person." She stopped 10 feet away. "Now put him down." Graxon's mandibles clicked in amusement. "Or what? You'll fight me? You're unarmed. I've survived 17 campaigns." "And I'm asking nicely," Temperance replied calmly. "There won't be a second time." "Then die with the rodent." The plasma claw swept toward her. What followed lasted 3 seconds, and would later be dissected in combat academies across the galaxy. Temperance didn't retreat. She moved into the strike, ducked beneath the glowing arc, pivoted, and drove her elbow into a seam in Graxon's armor. The impact rang like a struck bell. Graxon staggered, stunned. "First warning," she said softly. Jarez and recovered with a roar, swinging both claws in a whirlwind of lethal energy. Plasma carved glowing scars into the air, each strike capable of vaporizing bone and steel alike. Temperance became motion itself. She flowed between attacks like water slipping through cracks, reading patterns where others would see chaos. Her movements were precise, economical, terrifyingly calm. She caught his arm mid-swing and used his own momentum to redirect him into a durasteel support pillar. The entire structure rang, as if struck by a hammer. "Second warning," she said, not even breathing hard. "You don't want a third." GRA Zen snarled and activated the shoulder-mounted plasma cannon built into his armor, a weapon designed to bring down armored vehicles. At this range, it would reduce the entire cantina to glowing slag. Temperance moved before the weapon finished charging. She climbed him like a tree, fingers finding seams in alien armor, boots braced against plated muscle. She jammed her hand into the cannon's charging port. The weapon whined, overloaded, and died. She dropped back to the floor holding the glowing power cell in her hand, unstable and humming. "You have 5 seconds," she said calmly. "Or I drop this, and we see whose armor fails first." GRA Zen stared at the power cell, at the human who should not have been able to do any of this, at the witnesses who would carry the story across 100 worlds. "This is not finished," he growled. "Yes," Temperance replied. "It is." The warlord retreated, his warriors scrambling after him, their confidence shattered. Temperance knelt and helped Narvik to his feet. The Pixith shook violently. "You saved my life," he whispered. "Why? We are nothing to you." "You're customers," she said, handing him a drink. "Your people. That's enough." An hour later, Narvik still sat in his booth, shaken. An elderly Pixith with silver fur slid into the seat across from him. "Grandmother," Narvik breathed. "What just happened?" Barracks pulled out a battered datapad. You learned the first rule of galactic survival. The screen displayed a document titled Pixith Survival Protocols. Rule 1 was highlighted in bold. Never provoke humans. Never threaten humans. Never harm humans. Never allow others to harm what humans protect. There's no Rule 2, Barracks said. Narvik frowned. But humans aren't predators. That's because we follow Rule 1, she replied. She scrolled old incident reports. 30 years ago, during the Krellian expansion, Pixith resistance had failed everywhere. Then she played a video. A single human medical frigate appeared before a Krellian fleet. Its captain spoke calmly. If you fire on the civilians, you fire through us first. The Krellians withdrew. Humans protect the weak instinctively, Barracks said. And anyone who violates that learns what predators really are. Narvik watched the recording with his heart pounding. An entire Krellian fleet had backed down because of a single human medical ship. Not a battleship, not a dreadnought, a hospital vessel. The implication sank deep into his bones. They didn't win by force, Narvik whispered. No, Barracks replied. They won by certainty. She scrolled further. Case after case appeared on the screen. Krellian slavers attacking Pixith transports, only to find human freighters diverting course without hesitation. Vraxian tax collectors attempting extortion, arrested by human peacekeepers who arrived with impossible speed. A pattern of protection that was never officially announced, never claimed, but always enforced. We are not allies, Barracks said quietly. We are not pets. We are something more dangerous. We are what humans call innocent. Narvik glanced across the cantina. Temperance Graves was back behind the bar, pouring drinks as if she hadn't just dismantled a warlord with her bare hands. She said, I was a customer, Narvik murmured. A person. To a human, Barracks said, that's enough. Humans did not see power the way other species did. They did not care who ruled or who was strongest. They cared who was being hurt. Barracks closed the datapad. So we follow Rule 1. We stay near humans. We trade with them. We never allow anyone to harm them. Because the galaxy knows this now. Harm a human, and you answer to all of them. But why? Narvik asked. What do they gain? Temperance appeared beside their table, setting down fresh drinks. She had heard the question. Someone has to, she said simply. Power means responsibility. She smiled warm and human. Also, you tip well. She walked away. Narvik stared into his glass, then activated his own datapad. The guide needs updating. Updating how? Barracks asked. Rule 1 explains what not to do, Narvik said, typing rapidly. We need an appendix explaining what to do. He wrote, stay close to humans. Treat them with respect. Remember when they protect you. When asked why humans help us, tell the truth. Not because we're useful, not because we're allies, but because they decided we matter. Barracks read it and nodded. The galaxy has many apex predators, she said. But humans are the ones who hunt predators that prey on the weak. What does that make them? Narvik asked. Protectors, Barracks replied. And if you're very lucky, friends. Across the cantina, a nervous Pixith merchant asked Temperance if it was safe there. She smiled. Safest bar in the sector. We don't tolerate bullies. Narvik finally understood why the survival guide only needed one rule. Because sometimes one rule is enough. Story spread faster than ships ever could. Within weeks, the tale of the Frontier Station Cantina had reached systems far beyond Krellian space. It was retold in hushed tones, exaggerated and refined, but always centered on the same truth. A human bartender had stood between a warlord and a trembling merchant, and the warlord had blinked first. To some species, it sounded impossible. To others, it confirmed what they had already suspected. Humans were not dangerous because they were aggressive. Humans were dangerous because they chose restraint and knew exactly when to abandon it. Pixith traders quietly adjusted their routes, favoring stations with human crews. Refugee convoys filed requests for human escorts, even if it meant longer travel times. Slavers learned, sometimes too late, that attacking a protected ship triggered consequences that arrived with terrifying speed. The Krellians issued no official apology. They did not need to. Their fleets withdrew from several contested sectors, citing logistical reassessment. The truth was understood without being spoken. On Frontier Station, life returned to normal. Temperance Graves continued serving drinks, enforcing house rules with the same quiet firmness as always. She refused interviews. She declined commendations. When asked about the fight, she shrugged. He shouldn't have been hurting someone, she said. That's it. Narvik remained on the station longer than planned. He updated the Pixith survival protocols personally, distributing the revised edition to merchant clans and colony councils. The appendix became as famous as the rule itself. When humans protect you, stand with them. When others question why, tell them the truth. Humans help because they decided you matter. Young Pixith memorized it in school. Elders recited it like a prayer. Years later, historians would debate whether humans were truly apex predators or something else entirely. Military analysts would focus on human reaction times, adaptability, and tactical instincts. Philosophers would argue that humanity's true power lay in its moral certainty. Temperance never joined those debates. She poured drinks. She listened. She watched. And when bullies came, because bullies always come, she stopped polishing glasses. Somewhere out in the galaxy, a Krellian warlord nursed scars that no med-gel could erase. He told his soldiers never to threaten what humans protected, not because humans were the strongest species, but because humans were the ones who noticed and acted. That was the real rule of survival. Not dominance, not fear. Choice. The choice to stand between the powerful and the powerless. The choice to protect. The choice that turned predators into guardians. And the galaxy, slowly and painfully, learned to respect it. Thank you for watching, like, and subscribe.